Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I will be sharing with you how I painted all of these vases using the baking soda painting method. It is so fun, super easy, and it's a really inexpensive way to transform either some old pieces that you might already have or some super inexpensive glassware from the Dollar Tree. But before we get started, if you are new here, I would love to have you join us by subscribing down below. For this DIY today, I picked up these 4 pieces from the Dollar Tree. So the first is this little ceramic pitcher, which is adorable as is, but it wasn't really my vibe with the farmhouse, so I figured I could transform it. And then I also picked up 3 glassware pieces. So this one right here is a candle holder that can be found in their candle department. Then I also picked up this really beautiful vase. I just love the curves of it. I just thought it was so pretty and would look awesome with the paint. And then I also got this really small vase, which I thought was just really cute. You will also need some baking soda, so I just picked this up at the Dollar Tree, but chances are you might already have some at home, and you do not need a lot of baking soda for this DIY. I would say just a couple of tablespoons, so if you just want to give this a try, don't think you have to buy a whole box of it. And of course you will also need some paint in any color of your choosing. I just picked out a bunch and I kind of just ended up mixing a lot to get the colors that I was looking for, so I just kind of used what I had on hand. You will also need some paint brushes, and I find that using disposable cups or bowls is so helpful with this DIY, so you might want to use that if you have any laying around. And this last one is optional, so I'm going to be using some of this Crayola Model Magic. I picked up these little packs at the Dollar Tree. They come one little pack for $1, and honestly, that's really all you'll need for these DIYs today. If you don't want to use this, don't worry. You can still just paint your glass or whatever object you are using and it will look great. But I kind of wanted to add some embellishment and some handles to some of mine, so that is why I went ahead and picked up some of this Model Magic. I'm just going to be pushing these 2 to the side just for now because they're going to stay as is and I'm just going to paint them. But first I want to get started on those embellishments. So I'm going to be using my larger one here, and you'll see when you use the Model Magic, it is so user-friendly. I absolutely love this stuff. It is not sticky at all. It's very soft. When you take it out of the pack, you just kind of want to work it through your fingers just a little bit to warm it up, and it will be super easy to work with. So when I was starting off, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I thought I wanted to add handles, but it wasn't looking right, so I kind of just played with it for a little bit, and then out of nowhere, I just had the idea to make a snake, and I thought it might be fun to just create a snake that wraps around the neck of the vase. I thought that it would just kind of look different and a little bit high end, and I thought it would be cool once I got the paint on top of it. So that was the design that I went with for this one, and it was super easy. You just want to roll out that Model Magic, and once it was long enough just to wrap around the base of the vase, I just kind of draped it around almost like a scarf, and of course I tapered off the tail to be nice and thin. And then for the head, once I had it on the actual vase, I kind of just started to shape the head into kind of a diamond pattern and just made sure the bottom was a little bit smaller where the snake's nose would be. Then I just took 2 really small pieces of the Model Magic and just made little circles with them for his eyes. And I just kind of worked the face down a little bit more. Trust me, if you want to recreate this, it is a really basic shape and super simple snake, so it will not be hard at all to recreate. And then just to add a little bit of definition and detail, I took a paper straw and just cut a small piece of it. Then I cut out a notch to kind of create like a C curve, and I just worked those into the Model Magic to give the appearance of some snake scales. So don't be super detailed with this because once the baking soda paint goes on, it is going to cover up some of those details. So I didn't take too much time or worry about making sure it was perfect. I just wanted to have a little bit of detail so it wasn't so flat looking. And then for his nose and his mouth, I just took a toothpick and just made some circles, and then I just pressed the end of the toothpick for a mouth. For my second smaller vase, I decided that I just wanted to create really simple handles. I thought that that would just kind of give it a more unique shape. So I took two small pieces of that Model Magic and I started to create almost like a crescent moon shape. And then once I had it on the vase, I kind of just smoothed it out and towards the edges just made it a little bit thinner. And then for the second handle, I just repeated that same process and tried my best to make sure that it was placed directly across from the first one to make sure it was nice and even. And then I kind of just worked the ends down a little bit more once I had it on the glass and just kind of started to taper them in just a little bit. I'm just going to let those rest for 24 hours to completely dry and they will be ready for painting. Here we are 24 hours later and everything is ready for painting. So for my first paint color, I wanted to kind of go with a light gray. So I just added some white acrylic paint to my disposable cup. Then I added a little bit of gray and of course some baking soda. So I like to go in with a small scoop at first and mix that all together just to see if it's the consistency that I'm looking for. So depending on what kind of look you're going for, that will determine how much baking soda that you want to add to your paint. So if you want a really thick and gritty paint, almost like toothpaste, you want to add some more baking soda, which sometimes that's the look I'm going for. But for this vase, I kind of wanted a thinner consistency, almost like regular paint, but I wanted to have a bit more texture, so that's why I didn't add too much baking soda. But you will see later on with some of my other vases, I wanted a really gritty kind of pottery look, so I added a little bit more baking soda for those ones just to kind of give me that appearance. For my snake vase, I just wanted kind of like a warm cream color, so I kept it really simple. I just added some white acrylic paint with that deep rich brown color and then some baking soda. And for this one, I definitely left it a little bit thinner as well because I didn't want to cover up all the texture on that snake and I wanted you still to be able to see his scales. So this is how it looked after that first coat. So I'm just going to let this dry for about 15 to 20 minutes before I do a second coat. For this smaller vase, I really wanted to go for a rich terracotta color. I thought that that would just look so cool. So to achieve that, I started off with some burnt orange, then I added in some white and a little bit of dark brown, and then some baking soda. For this one, I kept it kind of thin as well. I didn't add too much baking soda. And on camera, it's coming up a little bit more brown, but once it dried, it definitely kind of had that terracotta look to it, which just looked really awesome in my opinion. And I just covered this whole one in one coat, and then I did end up doing a second coat at the end, as well as painting the inside of this one. You definitely don't have to paint the inside, it's completely optional, but I thought that this one would look better since it had a really wide mouth opening and you're probably going to be able to see inside of it, so I thought it would look a little strange if you saw inside and saw glass. So I did do a full coverage coat on that one. And then for my last little vase here, I wanted to mimic the bottom color of this piece that I made. So this was actually the first baking soda paint pottery piece that I ever made. I will leave that video linked down below if you are interested in that. But I love the way the bottom color turned out, so I basically kind of tried to replicate that. It's a bit of a coffee color, so I just added some light brown to white and then some baking soda. And for this small picture, I definitely wanted that really gritty look, so I did go a bit heavier with the baking soda. And in the final product, you'll definitely see the difference between this one and some of the other pieces. After about 20 minutes, I just went in and gave everything a second coat and let it completely dry. And here are my pieces all done. And I must say, I am so happy with how they turned out. I think that this is such a really cool way to add some really fun decorative elements to your house really inexpensively. These were only $4, and then everything else I had on hand. The baking soda, I usually always have on hand, and if I don't, I can just pick up one for $1. And the paints, I have so many paints just kind of stored up around the house. You could even mix in some wall paint if you have just like house paint laying around left over. And this is a really great way to kind of just use what you have to create something new and unique and really beautiful. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I had so much fun creating it for you guys. And I am really excited with some of the new videos that I have coming out very soon. So make sure that you are subscribed if you have not subscribed yet, and hit that notification bell so you will be the first to find out when I release a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching. To subscribe to my channel, you can just click on my picture here, and make sure you check out this video for more crafting fun.